How you doing?
What's up? How's everything been? What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just been spending a lot of time on Twitter just now, and I just working away. I'm a graphic designer, so I've just
Okay.
been. That's my full-time job, 9 to 5, and photography on the side. What about yourself?
Everything's been all right. I'm more concerned to hear about how's everything going with the new bundle of joy.
Yeah, no doubt you might hear her, but yeah, she's perfect. As as I'm sure everyone says, we've had our moments, but it's so rewarding. Yeah, I wouldn't change it.
It's rewarding. It's changing. It's gonna be eye opening. It's gonna be a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, what's fresh with you? What's been on?
Nothing much, man. I just got back from New York. I took a little vacation down there. I went to go visit my daughter for her birthday,
Nice.
her 12th birthday, and hung out with some friends and stuff, seeing my parents. And I just got back, and as soon as I got back, I had to hit the ground running. I
Yeah.
got accepted for an exhibition out here in North Carolina.
Nice.
So I had to make prints and get those images framed and sent off. This Friday, I am going to be starting an artist residency,
Okay.
also in North Carolina. So for the rest of the month of October, I'm going to be in Wilson, North Carolina, just making work out there. So that should be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Then I got a couple of my own personal projects that I'm doing, which they're gonna always forever be ongoing. I don't really see when they'll stop. And that's it, man. I've been spending a lot of time reading books, looking at photo books, um, kind of like just critically analyzing these books to kind of be better at photography. Trying to definitely wean myself off of scrolling through Instagram and
Yeah.
Google Images and things of that nature, YouTube even. And it's been really helpful. It's been really helpful being able to really look at the photos in the book, try to put myself in their shoes, if you will, at
Yeah.
that moment to see maybe what it is that they were thinking, so that I can apply that to how I think when I'm making photos of some sort.
It's quite interesting that, because that's something that I don't necessarily do myself, like looking at books or anything like that. I think I've maybe got a couple, but I think you do, just because it's that easy to look on your phone. It's free. You don't have to buy
Mm-hmm.
books, anything like that. It's kind of like you just get stuck in that kind of like a rut of just looking at Instagram. Obviously, Twitter's pretty big just now with photographers, so that's a new thing which I've been on constantly for the last few weeks, just trying to get involved in that. But now that's quite interesting that you've kind of went back to, not that books are like a thing of the past, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's nice to kind of see just even print, like have it in your hands, and there's normally a story with the photograph. So no, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think the books kind of force you to really uh, engage with the work differently than, you could easily just swipe all day. But at least with a book, you can look, you can stop, put a little bookmark in it, hold it
Yeah.
down, think about it, come back. Holding it is already it's like just another different experience within itself. So, and I think because that's the end goal for what I want for a lot of my work is doing books or prints in galleries or prints in museums, God willing. I just naturally like gravitate toward that.
Yeah.
I always have a book somewhere around, like about 4 right here, 3 right here.
Yeah.
They're always somewhere for me, because I like to go back and I reference stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I wish more people looked at books.
Yeah. No, it's a good bit of advice actually. Like for me doing this and speaking to loads of different types of photographers, like I've kind of tried to pick up little bits from each one. So that's definitely something I'll take away. And when I've stopped buying stuff for my daughter, I'll look into buying some books. I take it with books, are you kind of going after like one's like genre of photography, or are you open to anything? Is it more
I'm
the photographer?
I'm open to it all,
Yeah.
because you never know where you'll find something that'll spark something. And I'm more concerned right now with the philosophy behind the different photographers, more so than the image itself. I kind of want to know where their mind was when they were making that image, or when they make images in general. So I've got, I think it's called the Writings on Photography or something like that. It's by Bresson, Henri Cartier-Bresson. I have that Joel Meyerowitz book. I think it's from the Masters of Photography's collection. Um, Even this book by Daoud Bey on photographing people and communities.
Right.
Like just reading about him and his approach to, overcoming certain fears and things like that, to speak to people, and what he had in mind, caused me to think deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is not about just, like how a lot of
Yeah.
people. I don't mind going outside and coming back home with like one really good photo versus a bunch of mediocre photos, So that's what those books remind me of. And then a lot of those talks and stuff, and a lot of the paragraphs and things in them, have also let me know that every day is not going to be a great day, like photographically speaking. But if you have ideas and you know what you're trying to come across, it causes you to think critically, and you can look at stuff a little different. It might not be like a award-winning photo, but it might be a strong photo in the sense of whatever the end goal is, So everybody's trying to this one shot is amazing, pay me, and it's like, I don't think I really work in that vein. I like to work in more of the storytelling, documentary aspect. It doesn't mean that I don't still look at books from other photographers that don't work with anything. I still look at some of Ansel Adams' work. I do look at a lot of Cartier-Bresson, but I'm trying to wean myself off of that, because then you start noticing too many similarities within the work. Also, what was the other one and this book, Seesaw by Jeff Dye, is another one. Is about how to look at photographs, not how to look at photograph, but how he looks at photographs specifically. And it broke a lot of stuff down for me, and it's just like, I didn't see that before. Like it might be a photo that I've noticed before, but I've never noticed that aspect of it. So I'm just been really getting a lot of information from all this stuff. And if I do go on YouTube, it's to like listen to a talk or something like that.
No, I think that it's really important to keep learning. Like, no matter how old you are, how much experience you think you have, like you can learn something completely like different. Like you say, you could look at a photograph, and then when someone breaks it down, you're like, all right, geez, like type thing. So now I think I suppose that's what probably keeps, like, every time I see your Instagram, like you're always at it, you're always out, and you're always taking photographs. Like, you have your time like with family, like you say, but I think for anyone that's looking to like get into photography, it's just you're always like grinding, like you're always at it. And I think that's really important, that someone like yourself, although you've got all the experience and you've been photographing for a while, you're still like learning. So
always the student, always the student, because I don't know everything, and I don't know especially not about photography. You know what I mean? I have that will blow images out the water with cyanotypes and things of that nature. I don't have anything to do with that. I have friends that can really go out and work on 4x5 cameras, large format cameras. I don't delve into that world, but it's good to know, and if I ever have any questions or anything I want to learn, I know that I can reach out to them to learn that. So I don't know everything. I always want to go out and learn. I make photography. I made photography part of my life. I don't just get up and say, oh, today I want to go out and shoot. It's like my cameras are always with me. This one always either nearby or on me. I think I have one in my pocket right now. You know what I mean? Like, so I just make it part of my life. Something even as mundane as like my desk. I'll photograph my desk. If I think it's like overworked or whatever the case looked like, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it. I'll photograph it, and I don't know what it's going to do, but just being able to document that, like, I don't know, I think there's something about the human nature of like, I was here type of thing, you know what I mean? So I think that's where a lot of my dedication to the craft come from, like, just as a piece of evidence that,
Yeah.
yeah, there was a young lady that told me that she asked me, she goes, so if you go on a date with somebody, do you bring your camera too? I'm like, I bring my camera everywhere. Like, and she was like, so if you're on a date with somebody and you bring it, like, are you not just enjoying the moment, or are you just no, I'm enjoying the moment, and then I grab my camera so I can relive this moment again. It's like, I just make it part of my life. And so it's never an issue of me saying I don't want to shoot, or I
Yeah.
don't feel like shooting. Actually, the worst days for me is admin days, when I have to sit here at this computer and organize stuff and send out emails. Oh, I just look outside. I'm like, look at this beautiful light. I
Yeah.
need to go outside, and then I'll be here typing away.
Yeah. That's life of a photographer. It's obviously I'm not there yet, and I'm not sure ever will be. But it's I can imagine it just even now, like, because I'm working at a desk, like being a designer, and I look out and yeah, it's tough. It's but then again, it's got to be different tomorrow, and you can go out and capture something that
Mhm.
might yeah, capture that moment in that day type thing. But I'd love to go back to where it all began for yourself, like when you first started in photography, like why you started.
Okay. Well, I got into photography while I was still serving in the United States Army.
Okay.
Um, I needed some type of creative outlet.
Yeah.
Because I was going through this transition there where I had to accept that being an active duty soldier, like, it's not a job, it becomes your life. Like, it becomes a lifestyle. Like, you have to eat, sleep, and breathe being a
Yeah.
soldier. There's rules that apply in uniform and out. And I've always been like a creative person, from drawing and writing poetry, writing songs and things of that nature. Like, I didn't feel like I had an artistic outlet. I mean, I needed something to separate me from all of the rigorous stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I came home on leave, and I went to go see my brother, or my best friend. I call him my brother, and he was telling me how much money he paid this photographer for a T-shirt line that he was coming out with.
Yeah.
And me being completely naive in the craft, bro, I could have did that. I could have did that on my phone. You could have gave me the money. What was you doing? Give me a camera. I'll show you what to do. Pop, pop. And he gave me his mom's old Fujifilm camera. It's a digital camera. I think it was
Okay.
about 8 megapixels or something. But at the time, I still didn't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I took it back with me to the Army base, and I'm trying to practice with it and learn different things. I'm like, yo, this looks horrible. Why does this look like this? This doesn't look like this that I'm looking at. How come the background's blurry? Why my background isn't blurry? It's had like a zoom. It was really bad.
Yeah.
So I just started looking for more, kept researching, and I was like, oh, okay. There are cameras that come with different lenses, and different lenses do different. Like, it was really basic,
Yeah.
and the more I kept learning about photography, the more interested in it I got, knowing how technical certain things were. So I went around trying to find a camera with interchangeable lenses. I walked
Yeah.
around my barracks. I'm asking different soldiers if they had one. Some soldiers had cameras, but they weren't willing to let me use it. I also still didn't know how expensive they were yet at the time. I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I need a better camera. I want to learn. I need a better camera. I applied for a military credit card.
Right.
And I emptied the whole thing on a Canon Rebel. Was it? I can't remember which one. It's one of them T cameras. That and a 50 millimeter lens.
Nice.
What was it? One. It doesn't matter. But it was a 50 mil lens,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was going around shooting that. And at the time, I was still naive about photography, because I thought photography was only pictures of people. You know what I mean? Like, I thought, like, so I started photographing, doing portrait sessions for the other soldiers, maternity shoot for them and their wives. I was photographing, like, it was just really portrait-esque is where
Yeah.
I started. And then At this time, I still didn't even know Black photographers. So I just randomly Googled one day, Black photographers. And boy, let me tell you, my mind, I'm looking at the work of Carrie Mae Weems, Gordon Parks, and Roy De Corava, Dawood Bey, and I'm like, I can do that with this? Like, is that possible? Like, how do I do that? And I just kept getting, and after that, I just kept a camera on me everywhere. For military training, I kept a camera.
Yeah.
I used to get out of a lot of stuff. I would tell my my captain, I was like, hey sir, they're not gonna think we're really out here training if we don't come back with any photos of it. You're right. Go get this. So I'm getting these photos. I'm photographing a lot of my friends in the military that on our off time, or even when we're in the middle of like cleaning weapons and things of that nature. I just always had it. So they just
Yeah.
expected me to have a camera. And then once it came time for me to start getting ready to get out of the military, I had got injured, so I had to get out. And I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to school, of course, but for what? And I narrowed it down to dental hygiene or going to school for photography. Now, you and I both know you don't really have to go to school for photography, but so I'm thinking about it in the sense of I might be able to make some connections here in the photo world that might help me later on. And also on a bigger level is if I'm telling my daughters they can be whatever they want to be, I kind of gotta kind of live, right? I know I'm not gonna be happy as a dental hygienist digging in people's mouths every day. Like, I opted out of that. That would have brought a lot of money.
Yeah.
Opted to go to do the photography route, and I'm so happy that I did. I went to the School of Visual Arts in New York, SVA. I just graduated, was it this year actually?
Right.
Right? Yeah, this year.
Congrats.
And thank you. And I met some amazing professors that I still talk to now. They looked out for me. They give me insight. I could pick their brain about anything. I made some amazing friends that are like really into the arts. And I haven't looked back since. And my daughters love it. Always proud of me if anything comes up. I always want to send them photos. And I think I really mostly do it for them. I don't really care about the other accolades like that. Like, yeah, I care, but nowhere near as when my daughter's like, oh, this is amazing, this is great, I love this, and my dad's this and that, and like that means something because they're watching the process. They can see it. So seeing is believing. So when they see that, it's like, oh, all right. So if I want to do this, I could do this too. Like, and that's what I enjoy. So ever since then, I just incorporated the camera into my regular life, and I just try to find the beauty in every day. And I just keep the camera on me, and that's what I do. And ever since then, I have not been without a camera.
First of all, like, respect for going into the army and doing that side. I think that's something that I don't know if I could ever have done. It takes like brave people to step up and obviously serve their country. So first of all, massive respect for that. And it's amazing that you've then now obviously got into photography, and it kind of started in the army, which is also, I think that's kind of special as well. It kind of ties like that chapter of your life with your new chapter. So obviously you're talking about like your kids and things like that. Like, do you, like, you're talking about documenting like everyday life, and you mentioned that you went to see them. When you go to see them, do you, like, you're photographing, but do you want to just spend time with them and step away from the camera? Because that, like, for me, obviously new dad, it's like my child's only 6 weeks old, so it's fine. Like, she doesn't have a say, but do they kind of, maybe they're obviously proud of you, but do they want to do like kid stuff, if you know what I mean? And you kind of step away from.
I don't lead them down with photo stuff. Like, we go out, we do our activities, and if the scene calls for it, I'll pick up my camera and I'll photograph it. My oldest daughter, she's not really the one that wants to be in the camera, but she'll take pictures, sure. My youngest, she'll take pictures too, but she doesn't mind being in front of the camera. She doesn't really care. She trusts me at this point. It's not annoying to her. I'm just dad with the camera. That's what it does. And I still enjoy the moments that I have with them. You know, I have those same memories with them as well as photographs to hold on to. And I kind of dug myself as my family's, you know, documentarian because when I came back, also when I came home from the Army, you know, I visited my grandmother and I'm going through the old photo albums. And there are not many photos in there, if any, of like the teenage years of, you know, my brothers and I was like, so that what happened? Like, there's a whole section of our life that's not here. So I'm like, yeah, I have to be the one to take these photos. And, you know, a lot of, and there are photos of that time, but it's just on phones, I guess. Everybody has it on the phone or whatever. And I'm so glad that I dug myself that because I started photographing my grandmother. And then I think, what was it, 2 years after I came home, 2019, she passed away. And there weren't really any photos. But I had them. You know, so the family was able to call me and was like, "Hey, do you got any?" Yes, I do. Like, you know, like, so it was good to have that. Like, you never know how important it is to have those photos until it's too late. You know, so I recommend that you photograph your new baby all the time if you can. Like, change the diaper, click, making a bottle, click, like this. It might seem crazy now, but then when they're older, you know, 16 or something, you go back and you show them, it's like, that's crazy. Like, I look like it's a really good feeling, I think. So I enjoy it. There's been people that I've given prints to, you know, people out on the street that I photograph, and I've given them prints. And they're always excited to receive prints. There's been a few times people have like cried on, you know, with receiving some prints and stuff. Like, you just never know how it is, because some people never really get time to look at themselves, really.
Totally.
At least I think, in my experience.
No, that's sorry to hear about your grandma. And kind of going back to that, like, obviously you being able to photograph that, I think it's like you say, it is special because then you do have those photographs. Like, so 6 years ago, like, my mum passed away, and I only started photography like maybe 3 years ago. So, like, that's kind of something that, like, I now do, is I now want to take photographs of, like, my dad and my grandma and, like, just family, because it's not that we don't have photographs, but, like, I wasn't taking photographs at that time. So that, like, that's kind of one of my biggest, like, it's not a regret in any way, but you just wish you found something that little bit earlier, to be able to document, or not even that, just photograph, like, your life around you, because I think that in itself is, like, the biggest thing, that like, your family comes first, and if you have those photographs, then, like, that means everything to me anyways. That means everything, more than, like, photographing some random people out on the street, like, what have you. So now I can totally relate to that. And I think if you don't do it, or if I don't do it, no one does. And it's quite sad, but I quite like that I'm the one doing that.
That's important. I always say to myself, I say it jokingly and also to my friends, but I'll be serious, is that I wish I had a camera when I was like 13. I wish somebody told me anything about photography, and which is so ironic is my mom was the shutterbug, like, in her day. You know, she showed me these old photo albums of photos that she took when she was like a teenager and stuff. I'm like, yo, why didn't you ever tell us about photography? Why didn't you put a camera in our hand when we was younger? She goes, oh, you guys never showed any interest. I can't show interest in something I don't know exists. Like, nobody was telling me these things. You know, I'm a little black boy in Brooklyn. What's going on? You got to tell me. They would tell me basketball, football, and all this other stuff. Nobody said, you know, like, here's a camera. Like, this is what you can do with this. You know, which I think would have been great. But, you know, everything happens when it's supposed to happen and will not happen any other way. So I'm fine with that. I just try to play. When I first got into it, I felt like I had to play catch up. Well, this was after I learned about Gordon Parks and stuff. I felt like I had to play catch up. Like, oh man, I'm 25 years old trying to pick up a camera. Like, these guys been doing this since I'm reading their bios. They're 16 years old. And, like, oh my God, like, how am I gonna catch up? And then I just had to calm down and just let life life,
Mhm.
you know. And I just, like I said earlier, I just make it a part of my life, and I just photograph those things. Whether somebody's gonna see it or not, we'll find out.
Exactly. No, that's nice that you've actually said that, because I never realised that you started when you were 25, because that's similar to myself. So yeah, it's amazing to see your progress. And like obviously everyone progresses differently, and like I'm still like you still learning. So I do. It's quite funny because I actually bought a film camera, because obviously looking at you, like your Instagram, it's something that I thought, like, why haven't I tried that? Like, why? I might as well try it to see if I'm any good. So yeah, I bought a film camera not that long ago, and I think the previous person that I spoke to, they they were into film as well, and they were quite young, and I was so jealous that they're starting like in their early 20s and what have you. But yeah, why like film for you? Like, because obviously you said you kind of started digital, but why that transition to film?
I shoot both.
Right.
For me, the camera is just a tool. It depends on
Yeah.
how I feel like doing it. If I want to make things a tad bit more complicated that day, I'll
Yeah.
take out the film camera. I want to just go and kind of just go with the flow of things and just kind of be a little bit quicker on my feet. I'll take out the digital camera. Sometimes I'm going out with
Yeah.
both. They're simply just tools to me.
Yeah.
It's just different ways to make an image. I still make the image. Right now, I'm more so digital because film
Okay.
it starts costing too much.
Yeah.
That's the only other reason. If it didn't cost so much, I think primarily everything I would have done would have been in film. Well, I think it probably would have still been 50-50 film and digital.
Yeah.
But right now, it's mostly digital because
Okay.
I don't want to stand in the kitchen and develop these rolls all this time, or even when I go to buy film and you see the price, it's just like, I think every photo I make is gonna have to be amazing for me to get my money
Yeah.
back off this roll of film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what are the odds of that?
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
And so whatever I could use to make the image, minus a cell phone. I don't think I'm really a fan of using the cell phone to make images.
Yeah.
I know some people say it's cool, it's easier, and more power to you. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
yuck your yum. But for me, I have to have a camera. Like I have to have a solid camera or something
Yeah.
in my hand. It's a little there. I don't know. I think it's just something about looking through the viewfinder that it's like its own little world in there. So versus the phone. But yeah,
Yeah. Because it's funny you say that about the viewfinder, because I kind of like when I started, I obviously done landscape, and I felt that I was like standing back, tripod, and I would look at it on the screen, not
mm-hmm.
necessarily the viewfinder. And then now that like I've been experimenting, going taking street photos, and then obviously with my film, like I'm starting to use the viewfinder, and it's amazing how like I almost felt like I was cheating, like doing it the other way. Like it sounds stupid, but like I don't know, you just become one like more with the camera, doing it through through the viewfinder. But yeah, it's I clearly misread your Instagram, like your photographs. I just thought it was film, that most of it
A lot of
was.
them are
But
film. A lot of them are
yeah,
film. A lot of
right.
them are digital. But I'm glad that you can't really make the
Aye,
distinction.
aye,
And I like that because it's important. Because
yeah,
a lot of people get caught up in the equipment and get caught up in the film versus
yeah,
digital argument. And I don't care what you shot, what you made the image with. Like,
yeah,
why did you make the image is more important to me? Is the image strong?
totally.
I think the only other people that worry about it being film or digital are just other photographers. Like, the normal person that just goes out to enjoy art and see the art like on the wall or online or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I'm not really asking that. If it's either it's a good image or it's not. That's just talk for us amongst the table. But it
yeah,
doesn't really matter. It don't really
no,
matter. It's just like anything. It's just a tool. It's no different than a painter using a different paintbrush every time, something like that. It's no different.
yeah. One thing I did see through your Instagram was, is it Speak Easy or something like that? That is it like
Oh yeah,
a?
yeah.
Can you go into that like a bit more detail about that?
Speak Easy. Shout out to them. They were an organization that reached out to me before we did like this class. We sold tickets to this class for me to um, to talk to people about their why in photography.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much your intentions in photography. And it was a paid course, of course. It was the first course I've ever done that was paid. I didn't even really think anybody was going to pay.
Okay.
Some people did, which was really interesting. So, you know,
Yeah.
that was like a shock to me to understand that people would like value my opinion. So then Speakeasy came back out because of the success from that, came back out to me and say, hey, we want to try a new approach.
Okay.
And we want to see if people would want to do critiques with you, but more personalized critiques. You know, they send you the work and you look at the work, you make a video similar to this about the work as you go through it. And it made it real simple. It's real seamless. Speakeasy definitely, they really good at handling it. They make sure that they have all of the promotional stuff, images and things ready for you to just post. They send it to you so you can just promote it. Yeah, like they make it real simple, and I really love working with Speakeasy. And that was just an eye opener. That was just an eye opener for me. Like, there are people out here that really value my opinion. They value what I have to say on top of the work, and I guess that would only come from the work speaking for itself, you know. And as an artist, you're constantly like you're always your own worst critic. You never think it's good enough. You always think there's something else you can do. You don't know who's looking. You don't know if more people are looking, less people. It's just a constant struggle. But to see that type of like solid validation was like, okay,
yeah,
I'm on to something here. Nobody would have asked me about dental hygiene. Nobody would have asked me about military stuff. Nobody, you know what I mean? But this, people really want to hear what I have to say, and I thought that was really that was eye-opening for me. So that changed a lot. In my work.
So do you think, like from that, do you think that you could end up like maybe teaching like more than, or is that kind of not something?
Future, right now, no. Right now, I'm not really trying to teach too much. Maybe 10, 15 years from now, perhaps, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just really loving being able to make photographs on my terms, hanging out with my other creative friends, and you know, we make our own photographs together on our own terms, collaborative efforts, help support each other's solo efforts. I like being able to have the time to do that. I feel like once I become a teacher, if I become a teacher, it's a lot. It's just a lot. You know, it's a lot more things to take in because I still have teachers that, you know, that I email and I speak to when I was in school. And a lot of them tell me they don't really get to make work no more, you know, because they're grading papers or they're doing gigs or they got to, and it's like, I don't want that for me, at least not now. Not while I can still get up and run around, you know. I don't want that. I don't want that for me. But later on, I wouldn't mind teaching. I want to keep that essence of photography still out there to the next generation.
Yeah, 100%. Because one thing that I actually noticed from your, I think it was your website. I think one of the, like you kind of do like little like projects. Like, are those personal? Like I think one of them was like women's safety in New York City. Is that right?
Oh yeah. All of my projects are personal projects that I do. I think the best way to start working on personal projects is find out what you care about or things that you have a genuine interest in.
Yeah.
And then just work with it. I learned a lot about myself as well as other people through photography, so it helps me be able to bring awareness to certain things. Like the women's safety one. I do have a lot of female friends.
Okay.
Friends, however they want to slice it, and a lot of times when we talk, I hear certain things that come up in kind of like a lot of the conversations about, you know, their safety and how they feel when they're walking the streets or somebody looking at them. And I have 2 daughters. They're going to be grown and they're going to be going out into the world. And I kind of want to be able to give them the right information on how to handle certain things, or, you know, how to handle yourself, how to protect yourself if need be. At the same time, I want to also make it aware to people that are those type of creeps out there that, there's women out here that's not here for the play. They're not here to play with you, bro. If you run up on them, it's going to be a bad day, you know? So hopefully this will deter that a little bit, and then they can start going to seek the help that they need to work with whatever demons they're battling in that area.
Yeah.
But that was, and I think it was also important to hide their identity that you see in the photo, you know, because I don't want them to be attacked or anything. So, you know, that was the thinking behind that. It was a really simple idea on a complicated topic. So I wanted to do my just do, and that's still ongoing. I think it's, obviously now I'm not in New York anymore, so it's going to be a little bit more expanded than just New York City, because that's a common thread. And even in that project, there were a lot of women that I didn't get to photograph because they live in other states or they live in other countries.
Oh, right.
And a lot of women shared so many stories with me on Instagram, a lot of heartbreaking stories.
Yeah.
And it's like, I really wish, you know, I could photograph you and tell your story. But I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
So I take it, was that more, like you said, obviously there was friends involved, but like I'm just interested to, like, did you approach like other people that weren't your friends to like kind of get them involved, or
So put out an open call, and then some people reached out to some other people that they knew and said, hey, I know this guy that's working on this project, and you know, and they would reach out, hey, my friend told me that you're doing this project and this and this and that, how could I get involved? And it was like, hey, this is all I really need. And if you opening with that, and you know, there weren't too many no's that I heard. It was the only really concern that I really got across was just a lot of distances and different states and countries. But other than that, I didn't really meet too much resistance. I didn't even meet any resistance from women saying, why do you think you need to do this as a man? Because even in the interviews, there was stuff saying, there was a lot of women saying, you know, men should hold other men accountable for those things. And what's the best? I can go out and just say something, somebody is going to like look at me like I'm crazy. But if I can use my what I use to communicate with people through photography, I'm going to use that. You know, it's not always about a pretty picture for me. It's always I like the stories. I like to tell you. I want to teach you something from it. You know, so that was the premise behind that. And of course, there's other projects in there. The Dad Duty project is one that's really near and dear to my heart. I started that while I was still a student at SVA. I might have just became a junior at the time, and I started that project, one, because I'm a dad, and sometimes we get treated like second-class citizens, especially Black fathers. We're glorified babysitters, if you will, at least if you let society tell it. But that hasn't always been my experience. I'm active in my children's lives. I have friends who have kids and they're active in their lives. My brother's active in his kids' lives. My dad, you know what I mean? Like that's not really the common thing. And what really triggered it was when I seen an ad, a Macy's ad. I think it was for 2018. They had maybe it was a holiday ad. It had like 4 different photos of 4 different types of couples. And the first couple was, it was a Black woman with a white man. There was a white man with a white woman, and I think there was a Black man with a white woman, and then no, it wasn't. It's very hard to remember that one. And then I just know that the last one was a Black man with a white man, like in the same-sex marriage. And there were no images in that whole thing that they had of this Christmas stuff. Was it a Black woman with a Black man with the Black dad in the family, that kind of nuclear family? And that rubbed me the wrong way. And Macy's caught a lot of flack for that. They caught a lot of flack for that as well. But I was like, no, I need to show way more positive images of Black fathers, not only just standing there posing, but more so with interacting with their kids, like showing you like they are involved. They're changing diapers, they're making bottles, they're getting clothes, they're running around. Like, not to take anything away from moms, but dads got a very important role too. We're just as important as mom is, you know? Like, can't be mad at us because we're not designed to carry them for 9 months. Like, don't take that up easy. And a lot of respect goes to that. But I feel like a lot of dads, especially Black dads, weren't getting proper recognition for, you know, the work they do. You know, they praise moms for doing it, and then when it comes time to praise the dads for doing it, it's, oh, but that's what you're supposed to do. And it's like, come on, that's not fair. That's not fair. And you know it's not fair. So I wanted to go out and make sure that I gave them gave him that platform to stand
Yeah.
on. Funny story. He was in Coney Island, and I was working on that project, and there was a dad there with his daughter. He was like, "I'm so happy you're doing this." Like eyes watering up, and it was just like in my head, I'm like, "This is crazy," because I know there are other people that feel like that. There have been times I felt like a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
But with my daughters, you let their mothers tell the story however they want to tell it. But me, I was like, you know what? I have visual proof.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That we're out here, we exist, we're doing the work. And when the pandemic hit, I had to adjust how I made that work. So I just started with going out into the streets and kind of photographing dads with their kids out. In that, it wasn't ideally how I wanted it,
Okay.
but I still wanted to give them that recognition. So that's how it turned into that. But now being invited back into a few people's homes and
All
stuff is making, it's definitely, that is what I was going for. That is how I visualize that project.
No, that is amazing how, like, something like a project that you start, like it never finishes, almost like something like that. It can just keep going like throughout your whole photography journey. And I think that's I think that's a great thing, because especially someone like myself that just goes out and maybe photographs like a landscape, like yeah, I can revisit that landscape, but you're kind of like, you could just cut it off like that. Like, I've taken that photo and that's it. Whereas something like you can create like a series of like images, and I think that is like, it tells a story, like you say, like throughout the years, whatever, like it can carry on. And I think that's pretty cool. So do you have any like new projects that you're sort of thinking about just now, or are you just focusing on?
Yes. Yes. It's probably only on pause right now, but I've done a lot of work with photographing double Dutch, different teams in New York that were doing double Dutch jumping rope and stuff. And I want to touch on the importance of jump rope for young girls as they transition into womanhood, and how that instills in them confidence and helps them build their self-esteem and things of that nature. So I've been working on that. It's a pause because I've moved. I don't know if I want to start making something tangible from that work, or do I want to try to find another team here to work with. It's been a little bit difficult. Another project that I'm working on, which I think is extremely important. I came down here and I learned about Soul City, North Carolina. There's people here that don't even know about Soul City. But in the 60s, it was supposed to be predominantly a Black town here in North Carolina. I say predominantly Black because they weren't trying to make it all Black. By Floyd McKissick, he was trying to build this town. He was also part of the Black Power movement with Martin Luther King, Black Panthers and whatnot. And he wanted that to be. He kind of wanted it to be like 80% Black, 20% white. Like, he wasn't against, but he wanted to understand that any job that come through has to go to Black workers first. Anything, it wanted to be primarily Black.
Yeah.
And they were doing really well. They were able to build some infrastructure. They built this infrastructure called Soltech 1. Unfortunately, Soltech 1 today is no longer Soltech 1. It is now a correctional facility in that area. And but there are still people that live in Soul City. But back to the history of it, Jesse Helms, I think he became a senator, and it was a lot of racial barriers that he was trying to make it come across as. And he audited Floyd McKissick, saying that they were using the funds for Soul City wrong, so it caused them to have an audit, and they couldn't keep combating against all of these audits. So eventually they ran out of money. They ceased getting funding, and it just kind of halted.
Yeah.
People were moving there from like New York and different places, but then people started leaving out when the audit, after the audits, and then it was growing. It just got real bad. And he since passed, but I believe his daughter still lives there, or at least in that county. Her husband, a few other people that were around while he was still alive and trying to make this dream happen. So I actually just went there yesterday, drove around briefly, and it's a really small town. It's really small, but it's there. and it's full of Black people, and I don't know where it's gonna go. I never know where the work is gonna go.
Yeah.
I just go and photograph what I think is important, and that's I feel like this is important. So I went there. My next goal is to go there and to speak with some of the residents there. And Soul City's been catching a lot of attention lately. There's been a TED talk, I believe, about it.
Okay.
There was also something on NPR,
Right.
on an NPR podcast about it. So they've been talking to the main players, the state officials and stuff like that, city officials and stuff. I want to more so focus on the citizens that live there.
Yeah.
The people that moved there from somewhere else and didn't give up, or they moved here and didn't think they needed to go anywhere else. Like, it's a really small town that has a church. It looks like the school is a little bit further away, but they get bused in and out. There's a lot of land out there. There's some tobacco fields.
Right.
And being Black myself, once I drive to this more rural area and I see all these lands, I always get like this eerie feeling, because it is the South. The history of the South is very well known.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm moving through some of this energy a little bit.
Yeah.
But that's also what drives me to want to get it done, because if you don't say anything, this could just be whitewashed and lost in the end, or whatever the case may be. The hope for it is to at least, bring a little bit more awareness, like everybody else has been bringing awareness to it.
Yeah.
Just a little differently, with hopes that somebody will want to come and invest in Soul City and kind of reimagine whatever that dream was that Fort McKissick had for Soul City. So that's been interesting. I was looking forward to coming back from vacation to get right back to it.
Yeah.
And I got picked up for the artist residency out here in another part of North Carolina, which is another spot full of a lot of Black history, which I'm hoping to cover when I get there. I'm going in there blind. I don't know what's there. I don't know only quick little excerpts of things that I've read about what's there. So hopefully something comes from that. But those are the projects that I'm working on. Well, one of the projects that I'm working on, as well as this artist in residency.
Nice. Well, fingers crossed that all works out. I take it, like when you obviously go to like the residence, how, like, because that's one thing. Like I'm not I've never done that kind of photography, as in I need to go up to somebody and speak to them, and like I take it like surely you've had rejection, like from previous like projects that you've worked on. Like there must be some sort of rejection in that. So like how do you like kind of deal with, like, if you go up to somebody and you give the story but then they just like, no, I don't want to be part of that, like how do you then pick yourself up to go on to like speak to other people?
That is all fine. I respect people's wishes.
Yeah.
I haven't came across it. I haven't really got the chance to really meet anybody. The gentleman that we met yesterday did inform us, that there's a lady that's here that lived here the longest. So next time I go, he pointed out her house or whatever. So the next time I go, I'm gonna knock on the door. I'm just gonna introduce myself. We're gonna see.
Yeah.
But rejection, in the beginning of my photography career, of me walking up to strangers and talking to them, rejection would suck.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 2020, and looking back, my energy was off. When I was approaching them, I was already doubting myself. I already felt like they were going to say no. And that resonated. I didn't seem confident. I didn't seem like I knew what I was doing. And the minute I realized that was the issue, as I, going through the process, I don't really get too many no's. I kind of try to make it a game. I try to get 5 no's, and you won't get 5 no's. Like it won't happen. It won't happen. Especially because a lot of times people are going to just ask you, like, what is this for or why? And that's why I always beat it over the head. Like, know your why. Like, know why you want to do this project. Know why you want to make this photograph. Know why you want to speak to this person. And when they see that you know what they're talking about, it's like, oh, okay. Yes. Especially when it comes from, in my experience, when it comes to Black people, I feel like a lot of Black people want to be seen. We just want to be seen. We've been tossed to the side for so long. We've been undermined, underrepresented, and so when you say that this is what you want to do and this is what your hopes are, like, they'll say, yeah. When I get a no, it's thank you for your time. Maybe they'll change their mind. Like, here's my card if you change your mind. And I just go on to the next person. I don't let it discourage me, because the end goal is what I'm focused on.
Okay.
You know, the end goal. For every one no you'll get, you'll probably get two yeses. And that's cool with me. Like it's if it's supposed to happen, it's gonna happen. You just gotta do what you can do. I don't really let the rejection stop me.
Yeah. No, that's sound advice, and I'll hopefully, obviously it's not my kind of thing yet to go into that kind of line of work and document like projects or that, but I've no doubt like one day I'll maybe think, do you know what, why not push myself and try that. So yeah, I'll take that on board, and hopefully anyone that listens to this can sort of take that advice as well.
Whenever you're ready to do that, or if anytime you ever feel like you want to do it,
Yeah.
I read a book on How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a really good book for referencing. It lets you know like how to really have connections with people. And it's not like a list of be phony, be fake, and do this. Like, no, one of the chapters in there saying, you know, have a genuine interest in what that person is talking about. You know what I mean? Like, have that. Like, if you don't care, don't approach them. It really feels like that. It's really, for me, it's that simple. That's what I learned from the book. So if you ever can get your hands on that book, on that piece of literature, I highly recommend it.
Cool.
Read that, take it with a grain of salt, however you choose to. Take what applies, take what doesn't. And that's helped me tremendously. Yeah.
Cool. And also, you mentioned previous that you moved away from New York. Like, why was that? Because I think a lot of people might think, like, why have you moved from New York? Like, everyone wants to go to New York.
Yeah.
So why?
Let me start with this. Born and raised in New York. I love New York.
Yeah.
Will always love New York. Can't live there.
Right.
Can't do it. There's a whole other world outside of New York.
Oh yeah.
That people from where I'm from don't really get to experience unless you really have to leave. You know, my first time on an airplane, I was 24 years old. I was going to boot camp, like for the Army. You know what I mean? Like, if I had never moved out of New York City to like even to Westchester County, which is like right outside of New York City, I would have never gotten my driver's license. I would have never gotten a car. You know, like just simply leaving New York City opened me up to all the different possibilities of whatever else is out here in this world.
Yeah.
Like New York City is not the epicenter of what they would like it to do. So I get the awe. I get the awe of it. The movies tell you, come visit the Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, take this. And there's the other side of New York that they don't tell you about. And me, since coming back home from the Army and stuff, it was a different New York. I didn't feel like I was living there. I felt like I was surviving. Every 30, 31 days, it's a reset of how I'm going to get through the next 30, 31 days. How hard is it going to work? I feel like the only truly way to really enjoy New York City is to kind of have money.
Yep.
To be honest with you, to be able to navigate all that. And it's very expensive to live there. It is very crowded. I didn't feel like I had any separation of outside and home, because once I'm home, I can still hear outside, you know, versus here in North Carolina, I wake up, I hear birds chirping and sun peeking through the blinds and stuff like that's beautiful. There's a beautiful tree outside my window that I get to look at. It's really beautiful. And there's those simple things I don't really get to appreciate when I'm in the concrete jungle of New York City. It's just not the same. But I do value New York City for the hustle that it instilled in me, the strength that it instilled in me, how to think quick on my feet, how to adjust, ready to at any moment's notice for things to change and adapt to. And bringing that type of mindset down here to the South, where it's a little bit more laid back, it was like it's like the perfect combination, you know, for me, because I can go out and I can still use everything New York has taught me, but then I get to come home and it's separate from, I get to actually rest. I get to actually sleep now. You know what I mean? Like there's a separation. So opportunities are everywhere. I honestly feel like all you need is a Wi-Fi connection and boom, opportunity. You know, you can move anywhere you want as long as there's Wi-Fi. New York is not what it was before. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there, but it's also oversaturated.
Yeah.
And you kind of got to be on somebody else's terms, I feel like, in New York.
Okay.
Because if you're not, if you're deemed a problem or difficult to work with, it's so many other photographers, videographers, creators out there that they'll just look to the next person, you know, like it's just like a whole thing for them. So in a place like this, they kind of value quality, you know. So if you have a quality product, you providing quality images and work,
yeah,
they want that. They like that, and they get to meet you. You get to sit down and speak to more people, and get to understand your process, and you get a little bit more respect from it, and a little bit more help. My first 2 weeks of being down here, I got tremendous help from other artists down here. They were like, "Oh, you're so and so, and this is this, and what are you trying to do?" And I'm like, "Well, this is what I'm hoping to do." And it's like, "Oh, well, just come with me to this tomorrow, and I'll introduce you to so and so." Like in New York, it was kind of like a crab in the barrel type of mentality. Like people knew ways to help you, but it was like, if I help you, will you won't use me. Like, and I've always been so helpful with other people in photography. Like any information I get, I'll send it. Any emails I get, I send it. Any opportunities I see, I send it. You know, but I wasn't really receiving that same thing. But once getting down here, man, it's been a whole different ball game.
Yeah, that's it's refreshing to hear that you've kind of like taken yourself away from somewhere that a lot of people would think like, why have you moved from there? But no, I think me personally, I think you've made the right choice, because obviously myself, being in Scotland, I don't live in Edinburgh, stay out of Edinburgh. I'm quite like a country living, so it's just so amazing to have like hardly any noise. Like you can go for a drive, it's pretty chilled, like nothing, like it's not intense. Whereas I can imagine, like, because I went to New York at the tail end of 2019 for New Year, and like obviously you try and cram everything in, so you're doing things like every second of the day anyways, because it's like it was 5 days, but it was just like so intense that I just I couldn't live there. Like that would just be. But then again, obviously, it's different when you grow up there. That's understandable. But yeah, I appreciate why you've kind of taken yourself away from there. So now, respect for doing that.
Yeah. Listen, it's not. Some places may be difficult, and that just has to do with the area, you know, to be successful, to thriving. But for me, it simply comes down, like I said earlier, Wi-Fi connection and just having that drive. You'll figure it out. You'll have to figure it out. Like, and that is something that you learn. I think that I've learned. I don't speak for everybody, that I learned from just living in New York City is you figure it out. You go anywhere on this earth and triple your worth, like Jay-Z said. Like that's pretty much how I want to do it. Like I don't want to be limited to only in where I'm at. You know, my I guess my creativity is really like open like that. I don't want to keep it boxed in. And a lot of my friends that I associate with, like, like they agree. Like, no, I understand. Like some of them didn't understand at first.
Yeah.
You know, but then they'll go on the vacation and stuff, and they'll be like, you know what, bro, I get it. I get it. There's something special about leaving here. You know, you don't have to hate it. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's just there's other things out there.
Yeah, no, exactly. So another couple of questions, and then I'll let you do whatever. Obviously, I'm grateful that you've came on. So one question that I kind of like to know the answer to is, like, when you're obviously old, retired, or even maybe not even here anymore, what do you want people to get from your like photographs and your like photography the most?
I want, and it might change later on, but right now at this current moment, I just really want people to see the love and the passion that a person can have for a craft, as well as the love that he has for his people.
Yep.
You know, I want people to look at my images and see Black strength. I want you to see Black joy. I want you to see Black love, Black everything, because we've always been only shown Black trauma. And I don't want to be constantly reminded of the trauma that I've lived, you know?
Yep.
I want to show you other things. Like we are so many other things as Black people. And I want people to look at those images and be like, yo, that is it. Like whatever he did that. Whatever he did it. And, you know, when you speak about photo history and things like that, once I become, you know, sick, like worm food or whatever, just, I want them to look at that the same way I looked at the ones before me. Like, yo, he really used his camera for more than just pretty pictures.
Yeah.
You know, he really wanted us to get something from it, learn something from it. He really used it as a weapon against whatever else kind of came against. So I know that might be the artsy fartsy type of answer, but that's where I'm at with it. That's where I feel.
Not at all.
Maybe it'll change, but right now I'm really strong on that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And my final question is, if you could only take one more photograph ever, what would it be?
I think I would like to take a self-portrait with me and both of my daughters. Just me and them truly in like a moment of like happiness, smiling, laugh, like an honest moment. You know?
Yeah.
Like I really want for the three of us, where we're all on really good like terms and like just really, I don't know how to really describe it. Just that's what I want. That's the photo I want. It's just me and my kids together. Because when it's all said and done, I don't care what you put on the tombstone. Just put great father on there, and I'm fine with that.
Aye, that's amazing, and obviously it resonates with me as well. Now it's I totally get why you would want that, and yeah, I love that. I'm not getting emotional. It's all good.
Photograph the baby. Photograph that. Photograph your wife. Photograph.
Yep.
Just do it. Just do it. Even if you don't even think the photos are good, just do it.
Exactly.
Do it, bro. You're so happy you did.
Yep.
100%. I wish that I was in when my daughter was born, because man, let me like. Are you familiar with Jamel Shabazz?
It's funny you say that, because whenever I get people on here, there's a lot of people that, because I'm new, like I don't know everyone that they mention, and he is one that I actually got one of his books. So talking about books, funnily enough, I can't remember. It was like, I don't know if it was something like to do like back in the ages or something. I can't remember. It was something like that, and it was just retro, like Adidas tracksuits, like just amazing. But anyways, yeah.
Jamel Shabazz, amazing photographer.
Yeah.
So one day, well, I remember this one day. I was out with my daughter fishing in Brooklyn. I took her fishing. She had to be all of maybe 2 or 3.
Right.
Gentleman comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, I don't see too many dads, you know, out here with their kids, especially fishing. Like, you mind if I get a photo of you?" Took a photo. Thought nothing of it. I think it was last year. Jamel Shabazz are posting photos, and my friend DM'd me the image, and it's me. It was me. That was Jamel Shabazz that met me with my daughter at Prospect Park. So I reached out to him. I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy," because at that moment I wasn't into photography.
Yeah.
And now I'm a whole photographer focusing on kind of like the same stuff, like on Black fatherhood. And it just became full circle. So he and I were on the phone for probably almost an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, just talking about, you know, photography and picking up brains. And, you know, his past is pretty similar to mine. You know, and he's a veteran as well. And, you know, he's from out here in New York City and stuff like that. And it's just like, it was crazy. It was kind of like surreal for me, you know, because I've always seen work. Once I became a photographer and started looking at it, I've seen this work, a lot of his formal street portraiture and stuff, the nostalgia of it all. And to be able to say I was also photographed by him, inspired by him, and kind of working in the same vein as him.
Yeah.
It just brought everything full circle for me. And it's like, that's another truth to the power of photography.
Yeah.
It blew my mind. So I'm happy to be like, I'm so happy to be here with this, like being able to photograph it. Maybe I can do that for somebody else.
100%. That's I think that's the best place to finish, to be honest. An amazing story, and like you say, obviously when you found out who it was, I can understand your joy. It was that would just be mind blowing.
Yeah, I love it. I love this thing. I'm so happy. Photography, like people say it all the time, but I really think it changed my life.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, it changed my life. Taught me patience. And I thought I had a good grip on patience from having kids, but photography definitely, especially shooting film, definitely taught me patience. Definitely showed me, gave me the opportunity to sit back and listen more, to understand other people's like stories, other people's lives, their trials and tribulations. It allowed me to I had to be like completely honest with myself about a lot of stuff when, about fatherhood and about creativity and, Black lives and stuff like that, about what's out there and how it's been portrayed and how much of that I believed because of what was shown to me, without going out and getting my own information. Photography, it built me up to go out. I never used to like people, kind of still don't like people. But when I have the camera on me, I will talk to you. I will stop and we'll have a whole conversation. And it might have started off the camera, but the conversation will lead on to, hey, take my information. I would love to talk to you more about this. Or I'm into and it's like, wow, that's honest.
Yeah.
Like, that's real honest. Like, that was an honest conversation. There were no expectations from each other. There was no ulterior motives, and photography helped me with that. So I'm grateful.
And I'm grateful for you coming on and having a chat, and obviously someone like myself that isn't like a big name as such, to be able to get people like yourself on and other guests that I've had.
Not a big name either, bro. We are all here together trying to figure it all out. I'm just a guy with a camera doing my part, and you're doing the same.
True.
And James, I truly appreciate you having me on this podcast, giving me the opportunity to speak, for us to have this correspondence. I'm grateful. I'm just grateful all the way around.
It's the best. No worries. Well, thanks very much, and you never know, in the future I might hit you up again and can have another chat and see how things have been going.
Hey, I welcome it. I welcome it. Welcome to fatherhood.
Exactly. Right. No worries. I'll catch you another time, all right? Thanks very much.
Thank you, James. Appreciate you.